Hello. So I hope you like fish because I'm doing yet another thing with fish. This is going to be an angelfish rubbing. So I have drawn, I had that sheet that I sent out with the collage fish. I've drawn an angelfish onto some card. This is a bit of packaging. The tomatoes came in. So I drew the angelfish on there and I've cut it out. So I'll spare you having to watch that. But as well as cutting out the outline, I've also cut some patterns. I've drawn and I'm going to cut out some patterns into the body. This is card, so you might, if you're not comfortable cutting card, you might need to get someone to help you. But you could draw it, they could cut it out. And I've cut a bit in there. So I've got some tape. I could use sellotape, something just to stick it back together again. Because once my fish is ready, I'm going to use it to make a rubbing, like a brass rubbing. But as well as the silhouette, the outline, it's really nice to have some pattern on the inside as well. And because my bit of card is black, you can already see how it's going to work. Those patterns. So I'll stick them on this side as well. Oh, I think I should cut out an eye. It's always good to have an eye. And once that's cut out, yep, I am.
So I can't play the piano, can I?
Well, not at the moment, because I'm just doing. You can in a minute. So I'll stick that on that side and then show you how you can make a rubbing. I'll put that flat and I'll need some paper. It's good if the paper's not too thick. And then if you have some wax crayons, they're particularly good. We have these thick crayon blocks like this, which are very good. And because you don't know where your fish is, you don't press too hard at the beginning. You can find it. You don't want it to move around. You want it to stay in the same place. So you could tape it down somewhere if you want. But I haven't pressed too hard so that I can see where the fish is. See, it's beginning to appear. And now that I know where it is, I could press a bit harder. And you see now why I cut out the eyes and the pattern. My wax crayon isn't very clean, so it's picked up some other bits. There's a bit more down there, and there's the end of the tail. So it's okay if you don't get it too perfectly, the edges too perfect. Odd bits of crayon are okay around it. So there's one. I could move it then. I could even turn it over and have some other angelfish. Maybe get a different yellow. Where is it? Have another one here. Now I've done it with wax crayon because then I can do the other part of the technique, which is to get some watercolour paint and paint over my wax crayon. And you'll probably know that when you put watercolour over wax, they don't mix. The watercolour won't sit on the wax. It'll run off. So there's two. Could do with another one, but anyway, let me show you the watercolour now. So I've got some watercolour paint. I've mixed a little bit of blue and green together. And then over this I could do some nice watery marks. And you see that because the paint is wet and watery, it won't take where the wax is. So I've got two things there. I've got my rubbing. I cut out my fish, given it a pattern, done it in wax, and now I can put some colour over it. Do you see how the watercolour paint bubbles up on the wax? So I can just leave that like that, or I could even wipe some of it off. You know, if it's still wet and you've got a tissue, you can take it off again. So you can play around with that. You might like it to be bubbling on there or not. You might like the gaps where you can see the water through the fish, or you might prefer not to have that, and you could put some more colour in there, or you could go back and put more colour on top now that you know where your fish is. So lots of things you can play with there, and then that's a great picture. Or you could maybe cut it out and turn it into a card and use it for other things. So enjoy your fish.